Hi, I'm Kevin Rondino. Partners for Health Foundation is committed to educating the public about the importance of community programs that improve the health of New Jersey residents. That's why we're proud to support the important programming produced by the CAUCUS Educational Corporation.
Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by the New Jersey Education Association, Wells Fargo, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, Hackensack University Health Network, Hackensack University Medical Center Foundation, NJM, auto insurance, homeowners insurance, and more, with a focus on safety and financial stability. And by Partners for Health Foundation, partnering to make our communities healthier, better places to live. Promotional support provided by New Jersey Family Magazine and NJFamily.com, and by Observer New Jersey Politics.
This is One-on-One. I'm an equal American just like you are.
The jobs of tomorrow are not the jobs of yesterday.
Look at this. You got this?
Here it is, man. Look at that.
Life without dance is boring.
When you first heard that they were doing Charlie Rose and Gayle King, didn't you go, what?
Do you enjoy talking politics?
No.
People call me because they feel nobody's paying attention.
Our culture, I don't think, has ever been tested the way it's being tested right now.
Such a good question. High five.
Welcome to One-on-One, and One-on-Two. In this case, it is our honor to welcome Amy Scheer, Chief Commercial Officer, New York Red Bulls, and John Wolyniec, who is head coach and manager, New York Red Bulls 2. Let's set this up. Red Bulls started when?
22 years ago. This is our 22nd season, one of the original members of Major League Soccer. And
today, but I ask you straight before we got on the air, how many teams in the league right now?
Currently 22.
22.
22 teams. Yeah.
Soccer growing by leaps and bounds.
Leaps and bounds. Every metric that you look at in the world of Major League Soccer is growing. Ratings are up, attendance is up, merchandise sales are up, sponsorship revenue is up. So across the board, we average 21,000 fans a game. So we're growing.
21,000.
Yeah.
How'd you get into this whole thing?
As a kid,
where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Staten Island, New York. So a local guy. My dad was a track athlete, wanted me to run, decided soccer was a good sport. They had no idea what was going on, but became good at it and just kept going. Went to college at Fordham University on a scholarship, and then luckily enough got drafted, and then played with a bunch of different teams on the professional level, and then was fortunate enough to finish my career at Red Bull, and the transition to coaching took place in 2010 when I stopped playing.
You love soccer, you love coaching. What is it about the game? For those of us who have been involved in other sports, I tell you, our kids have all played soccer, but our daughter, Olivia, is by far the best soccer player. Plays in the Montclair Dome, which is a great place, right? You guys both know it well. What is it about soccer?
I see it as a huge challenge. I was always someone that took on challenges head on and enjoyed, forcing myself to get better. I feel like it's the type of sport where you could be 5'2", you could be 6'2", you could be 200 pounds, you could be 150 pounds, it doesn't matter. You can find a way to be successful at the game. There's a lot of ways to get better as far as technical. Can you kick a ball well? Can you kick it better? Tactical. Do you understand how the players move on the field? And then it's just a lot of ways to get better at it.
And also where you live does not matter as well if the opportunity is presented to these young people. Talk about what the Red Bulls are doing in terms of trying to help kids in urban areas get into the game.
Sure. So we have what we call our urban soccer program, which is part of our Red Bull training programs. We've got
what is it? Red Bull
training programs.
Red Bull training program only in urban areas?
No, we've got 43,000 kids that participate in our training programs across the tri-state area. As part of those 43,000 kids, what we do is we provide free programming in underserved neighborhoods. So Ironbound in Newark, we provide free programs for them. So the kids in those underserved neighborhoods have an avenue to participate in the sport and get the same level of instruction that your daughter does. So we make sure we're a good community partner and doing the right thing, and that everybody has a chance to play and learn the right way.
Yeah, well, let's talk about this a little bit. The other piece of it, in terms of the Red Bulls, is that you're also committed to trying to promote healthy eating. Can we talk about that piece of it?
Sure. So Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, which is one of our major partners,
one of our major funders as well here at Public Broadcasting.
Yes, we love working with Jonathan Pearson.
And by the way, their CEO, Bob Marino, serves on the board of Public Broadcasting here in the States, so go ahead.
But great partners with us, and they really make sure that the wellness message is a part of everything that they do. So Part of our initiative now going into the third year is a Healthy Goals concession stand at Red Bull Arena.
What's it called?
Healthy Goals.
Healthy Goals. Go ahead.
So it's a separate build-out within our arena, which has healthy options for our fans to eat. So when you come to a game, although our service provider for concessions does a very good job, this gives you an alternative to have low-fat, healthy, variety food.
What kind of demand is there for it?
There's a good demand. You know, we have between 35 and 40% women, and I think that's, you know, when I go to arena, that's where I would go to eat.
Right.
So we have a good demand. It's grown over the 3 years. The first year, you know, we messaged it, we made sure we got people there, and word of mouth spread, and every year, year over year, it's grown. So there's a good demand.
You know, as we talk about this, what I'm curious about for people involved in management, if you will, with the Red Bulls, it's one thing to love the sport, but to also have a team, an organization be committed to community involvement. Was that something you were aware of early on, and that because we pulled you into this, and you get, I don't want to say pulled into, you participate in a lot of different things. Is that part of what a team, an organization, professional operation should be doing?
Yeah, I believe so. I'm a New Yorker. I grew up here. I appreciate when the New York franchises participate in their communities and help out and give back. As a player, a professional player, I was tasked to go into communities and help promote the sport, but at the same time help promote healthy lifestyles and education and schooling. So I've spent a lot of time in wearing a Red Bull polo in a school and talking about education and the importance of that. So.
You know, I remember having a conversation with some of the New York football giants. And by the way, there are New York-based New York teams who often play in New Jersey, and it's the case with the Giants as well. But we're doing an in-depth interview. By the way, check on our website, steveadubato.org. You see an interview we did with the great Eli Manning. And we were talking about the Tackle Kids Cancer Initiative with Hackensack, Meridian Health. That is, in fact, Eli Manning, the NFL recognized him for his work that he's been doing with Tackle Kids Cancer. You have a connection to it as well.
We do as well. So Luis Robles is our partner. He's our goalkeeper, and he loves this charity, as do our team members in our club. For every save that Luis makes, we donate $375 to Tackle Kids Cancer.
Every time he stops a goal?
Every time he stops a goal. Money is donated to Tackle Kids Cancer. And, you know, I think what is a testament to our players is that, yes, Luis got started on behalf of the New York Red Bulls, but he spends a significant amount of his own time with the charity as well. So he, as a person, has taken this very seriously and does plenty of visits and plenty of appearances on his own for Tackle Kids Cancer. And as an organization, we support it as well. But we love it. We love it. It's a great charity and an important one.
Where is soccer going in this country? Because I was over in Spain a few years back and went to see the soccer museum. I was thinking it was in Madrid or Sevilla. I'm not sure where it was. And I remember the history of soccer was played out there. Soccer in Europe is one thing. Soccer here is another. But it is growing by leaps and bounds here, correct?
It is. It's the #1 youth sport in the country. So that will continue to grow and lead into, I think, more fans. Again, we talked about it earlier. All the metrics are going up. I think MLS, Major League Soccer, has done a great job of growing the international audience for us as well. So I think abroad we're looked at now differently, better than maybe we were previous. But the sport just continues to grow. And again, you know, we average over 21,000 fans a game. All of the new clubs that are coming in have...
Where are some of the other teams? You were saying, is it Atlanta?
Atlanta. Orlando. There's a bunch of new teams.
Minnesota,
a new team this year.
LA is getting a second team.
Minnesota has a big soccer team.
Yes.
See, sometimes I'll make these assumptions about geography and weather, but there are places to play.
Yeah, you know, in soccer you play through anything. As long as there's no lightning, snow, rain, sleet, it doesn't matter. The soccer's played through everything.
So it is different from baseball in terms of, hey, listen, we're going to call this game in the 6th inning. Doesn't happen in soccer?
No, I mean, listen, weather can always change the game, but for the most part, we played through almost any weather. I mean, there's been, I think Minnesota's first game this year there was snow on the turf field.
No, there wasn't.
Yeah, and they had to play with an orange ball and all that stuff. So
they played with an orange ball?
Yeah, played
to make sure you could see it.
Yeah. 2 years ago, we had a game in Colorado. We played through several inches of snow.
Fascinating. Before I let you out of here, the player base that you have, and by the way, the Red Bulls 2 team. That is describe what that is for people.
Yeah, so it's a second division team. So we play in what is called the USL, the United Soccer League. Yeah. So it's a similar thing to AAA in baseball. It's a minor league team. It's a place where some of the younger players, some of the players that aren't involved in games week in, week out get to have games. And it's also younger players that get to prove themselves at a professional level.
What do you got in that red bag?
We have a little gift for you.
You got a gift for me?
Yeah. So
I got to report this to the PBS officials.
We wanted to be good guests.
Standards in practice, legal.
Make sure that we brought a gift.
Oh, you're kidding.
The new number one fan.
So in honor of one-on-one, we figured we'd put a one on it.
Get this, guys. You get this?
And just a pleasure to be here. So we wanted to be grateful and have you guys.
This is so great. I can't thank you enough.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
By the way, I know what's going to happen when I get home with our kids. Anything really cool we ever get? By the way, this is awesome. That part is great, but this part's about 1,000 times better. The Red Bulls, an organization that is committed to not just excellence on the field, but making a difference off the field. I want to thank you for being with us and spreading the word, and it's a great sport.
Thank you for having us.
Thank
Appreciate
you
your time.
Appreciate it. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Check it out. We'll be right back right after this.
To see more one-on-one with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at steveadubato.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato Ph.D. and follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
We'd like to welcome Gil Jeffer, who is research engineer, NJIT, and also Dr. Robert Melville, research scientist, NJIT Center for Solar Terrestrial Research, which is, describe what that is, that center.
Well, we study space weather. I like to say in one word, we're studying the sun, in our case, by effect on the Earth. There are many aspects of that. Gil and I go to Antarctica, along with our third coworker, Andrew Stillinger, to design and implement engineering projects which generate data, which then go back to the research groups at this center.
Talk about the information that came back from Antarctica and why it's important for every American watching right now.
Basically, space weather has quite a bit of influence on our daily lives. Coronal mass ejections are when the sun puts off. Coronal mass ejections are when the sun puts off literally billions of tons of material heading towards the Earth at a very high speed. Sometimes they don't head towards the Earth, but when they do, they can couple with our magnetic field. And when that happens, it can cause a lot of influences to your daily life. For example, communications, extra radiation for people flying on aircraft, especially extra radiation for any spacecraft, where it may hurt their electronics. It induces current on long electrical lines.
But when you first started, the whole of this Antarctica initiative started, what was the goal?
Well, the beginning of the modern research in Antarctica can be dated back to 1957, the famous International Geophysical Year. That was really the beginning of really space weather research, studying the Earth's magnetic field. Do we have that graphic, maybe?
Can we show it?
Yeah.
They'll put it up there. They'll put it up there as you're talking about it. Go ahead.
Yeah. But the idea is the sun blows this solar wind.
Is that
at the
what it
Earth.
is right there?
Correct. That's it.
Talk it through.
Okay. This graphic is showing the sun blowing the ever-present solar wind. That is strong enough that magnetic field lines facing the sun, the so-called day side, are compressed. Magnetic field lines on the other side, the night side, are stretched several hundred times the radius of the Earth. They're storing energy. And when that thing snaps, as Gil said, it can dump a bunch of energy into the Earth. Roughly 50 times the output of the largest power dam that we have in the world.
Terawatt of energy dumped into the upper atmosphere.
So what do we do with that information in terms of public policy? You come back with this extraordinary information. Policymakers say, we have to do something. What is it that we need to do?
Well, one of the things, if you look at the electrical grid, back in the late 80s, where there was that big outage in Quebec, since then, things have been changed a lot so that they're able to absorb this power, switch very quickly. The grids aren't tightly connected together where they can't switch between them, so you don't end up with cascading failures. Nowadays, perhaps they may blow out several transformers, may have localized brownouts or blackouts, but you will not take down whole sections of the country due to this research and finding out how things go.
So we're making smarter decisions, hopefully?
I think a deliverable of space weather research has been improved engineering of satellites. When the first
Say that again?
Improved engineering of satellites, engineering improvements to satellites. When the first satellites went up into orbit in the early 1960s, They did not work as well or as long as their designers thought because of a misunderstanding, underappreciation of the effect of space weather. Largely, that is a positive deliverable of space weather research to improve the engineering of satellites.
We're putting up some photos of life in Antarctica. Describe it.
That's the inside of one of our remote sites, the so-called automatic geophysical observatories, which is the bulk of the work that Gil and Andy Stillinger and I do when we go to the ice.
So the green box there is a telemetry system that Bob designed, and basically what that does is send up information for voltages, temperatures, currents from the instrumentation and the batteries and the power systems there up to the Iridium satellites, which then relays back down to us where we can monitor the stations remotely and see how they're going, since we don't go there every year.
Real quick, for people who don't understand, what are the conditions like up there? You said very low humidity, right? Temperature.
We have to make a big distinction between summer and winter.
Go ahead.
Now,
give us both.
Gil and I typically, and Andy go in the summer, which of course is our winter because seasons are reversed.
Yes.
We will have temperatures at the coastal base, maybe slightly above freezing. People walk around in shirt sleeves. At the South Pole, it's typically about 30 below zero.
30 below?
Yeah, but it's very dry.
The average year.
What does that mean? 30 below and dry. So
it doesn't feel as cold.
Really?
It's not dry.
It doesn't feel as cold. The average year-round temperature there, if you average the temperature around all the full year at South Pole, is 57 below zero. In winter, in July, which is the coldest month, the high of the day would typically be 67 below.
67 below.
That's the high.
And all this information is so important for those of us who are not in Antarctica, but are here. We need that information.
We love it.
Good stuff. Bob and Gil, I want to thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. It's powerful information, and we appreciate the research you're doing.
Thank you so much, Steve.
We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Right after this. Wow.
To see more one-on-one with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at steveadubato.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato Ph.D. and follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
We are pleased to be joined by Michael Gerber, one of the great public school teachers in the state of New Jersey, teacher in Mullica Township School District. You teach history.
I do.
With a very unique approach as part of our classroom, part of the Classroom Close-Up series we do in cooperation with our colleagues and partners at the NJA. We're about to see a clip. What kind of history are we talking?
Well, it's history, but it's a modern history. It's history with a twist. We look at history through the lens of science, and we do so with this grand narrative of over 13 billion years.
Just 13 billion?
Just 13 billion. So it's quite fascinating, to say the least.
And you know this clip we're about to see from Classroom Close-Up, but not everyone else has seen it, right?
I have, yes.
We're going to see it right now, together.
Okay, cool.
This is from Classroom Close-Up. Check it out.
So I am Fluorine Man, and I am Magnesium Girl. So together we make magnesium fluorine.
Michael Gerber's students cover a lot of material. 7th graders are analyzing nutritional intakes to create an ideal school lunch. 8th graders are trying to convince an imaginary town to adopt renewable energy. 6th graders are doing experiments to understand asteroid impacts, and 5th graders are learning how elements combine to create chemical compounds. Sounds like health, government, astronomy, and chemistry, right? Actually, it's history. Big history.
We look at history through 13.8 billion years. And big history essentially is a history course, but there's a twist. It's a history course through the lens of science, where we approach it with different insights through historical and scientific approaches, where students are able to create this one long, beautiful, coherent story where they're able to understand people, civilizations, and how everything around us is connected. Yesterday, I had you go back and look at your nutrition, your daily diet. This course was designed by a gentleman named David Christian, who taught it at collegiate level, and Bill Gates happened to stumble upon this course, and he thought to himself, wow, this course is amazing. He approached David Christian to say, hey, could you implement this at a public high school level? Male to female. Look down. 7th grade, we just finished a project called Feed the World. And in that project, students have to figure out historical trends of different conditions that support the Earth, such as population growth, food production, and then they have to figure out at what point can the Earth stop supporting us. And now what's the trend or pattern?
It's going up.
It is increasing,
and
for
mine
sure.
is 102 fats.
The students are really going to get a bigger perspective of, do I have to change my eating habits, and do others have to change their eating habits? Remember when we started off this unit? I had you guys create or think of the best school lunch ever. You guys like barbecue ribs with pizza. And you made it very, very delicious, which was the prompt. But now, you're gonna do this again. This time, you're gonna take everything that you've learned, what's delicious as well as what's nutritious. One school lunch for every kid in the nation, every day.
You have to make sure you don't go over the limits.
I'm only getting protein.
I got orange juice.
I want them to take away the bigger picture of who they are, their purpose, perspective on life, how to treat others, how to solve problems, and to try to open their minds up that, you know, it's bigger than yourself. It's bigger than the person next to you. It's bigger than all the plants and animals out there. It's huge. It's universal. It's big history.
Make your predictions, go.
How into it are these kids?
Oh my God, it's ridiculous. I heard a stat the other day that 40% of students in America are disengaged, bored, unhappy. That's a crazy amount, 40%. So
in school?
In school. So of 100 million kids, you know, a third of the population, let's just, you know, ballpark it 25 to 30 million kids. Not into school.
Wow.
So when do you go to school and you don't like it? This course is a way for kids to shed the barriers, make connections, put it together. One of the first things I do, first day of school, is I dump out a jigsaw puzzle. I say, put it together. And they start putting it together. I say, stop. We're going to finish this throughout the year. They go, well, we want to finish it now. We want to see. That's not how life works. It's not how this course works. At the end of this, like an artist, we're all going to see each of these jigsaw puzzles. It's going to be similar, but for ourselves, we're going to see different answers, different clues. And big history is kind of like that, pulling together all these disciplines, biology and astronomy and cosmology and history, just to mention a few. And at the end, the kids not only have questions, but are able to answer some of these questions and personalize it for themselves. And just looking at it from this grand narrative ultimately gives them perspective.
It changes these kids.
At such a young age, to get perspective at a young age, which the thing all of us are constantly looking for, especially at the young adolescent age of purpose. Who am I? And what does this all mean? And how do I solve this problem? And big history, by offering it in this huge story, provides a lot of those answers.
Where's the greatest satisfaction you get out of this as an educator?
I always do this thing at the end of class where I say, I hate to say it, class is over. And all the kids go, really? So satisfaction like that for me, when the kids go, literally every day, class is over already? Really? Heads
it just
down.
moves by quickly.
And when they come in every day, standing at the door, what are we learning? What are we into? And it tackles our inherent human curiosity, what we want to do, what we want to learn about. It takes away being disenfranchised, being disengaged of coming in and saying, I want to challenge my curiosity, not just the content that you're telling me to learn.
Is that the ultimate takeaway, that you want these kids to be more curious about the world?
One of them, for sure. How we implemented it in the middle school, because this was first on the collegiate level, and then brought into high school, and then we manufactured and modified it into middle school. And I'll tell you a little example of a story.
Real quick, go ahead.
I seen a kid come back 2 years later, and teaching is very abstract, right? You never know when the kid leaves your door. They might have learned the content, they might have understood but did they really get the big picture? So 2 years ago, I seen a kid a year after the first year of Big History, and he came up to me and said, Mr. Gerber, I just want to thank you. I said, well, what for? What for, Max? You know, you're the man. Why would you thank me? I should be thanking you. He goes, everything that you taught us, everything that you were telling us, how we were going to learn about chemistry before we got into high school, we were going to learn about this and that, and then blending it all together. He's like, I'm crushing it in high school. And I was like, dude, that makes me feel so good, because abstractly, as an educator, you don't get that often.
Tell you what, the idea that you're doing this with these kids every day and changing their lives is powerful, and it says an awful lot, not just about you, but all public school teachers. We want to thank you for everything you do every day. Well done. Keep it up.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was great. See you next time.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the CAUCUS Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by the New Jersey Education Association, Wells Fargo, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, Hackensack University Health Network, Hackensack University Medical Center Foundation, NJM, and by Partners for Health Foundation. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been produced in partnership with TriStar Studios.
My name is Carly Lloyd, and I have been with NJM since I first started driving. I'm a World Cup champion and two-time Olympic gold medalist. If I could sum up NJM in one word, it would be extraordinary.
Extraordinary means being the best at something, separating yourself from everybody else.
I love being a part of NJM. They have the best insurance out there.
Join NJM's family of policyholders today. Get a quote now at startyournjm.com.